Hi, I'm Travis, and welcome to Handcrafted Overlanding. Today, I'm going to expand the usefulness of the secondary battery on the Squirrely Ram.
In a previous video, I built this secondary battery system, which consists of a 100 amp hour deep cycle solar battery, a DC to DC battery charger. This one happens to be 40 watts. And this frame that goes around the charge controller. In that video, I ran out of time because I was heading up to camping, which is also in yet another video. I ended up, because I use a CPAP, I ended up taking an extension, 12 volt extension, and spliced it into the battery terminals. Now, this worked just fine, but I want more availability for power. Eventually, the truck's dash cam is going to be powered off the secondary battery so it doesn't kill the battery on the primary. And I need a measure for some 12 volt accessory ports to make it easier to use. So let's see what we can do. Tray is going to really come in handy for this particular part of the project because the goal is to mount this fuse block, this on-off switch, 12 volt plug, voltage meter, and USB adapters, quick charge 3.0 by the way. One or both of these additional 12 volt sockets, and this PowerMagic Pro, which is the voltage cutoff controller for the Blackview camera. Going to install the camera in a later video. So, looking at this whole project, I know that this is the front and I want my switch easy access. I don't have much clearance on this side over here because the battery comes up very close, but I can get that switch right about there. I think that looks good. In a future project, I plan on building a battery charging storage for all of the drone cameras and things like that. So I want to put one of these further back over here. And I think I want to put this other one probably right over here. So that will give me a 12 volt here, here, and here. As for the fuse panel, I think I want to put that right about here-ish. This should be a good location for me to run all of these back to the fuse panel. The DC-DC charger, the cables to the battery are on this side, so that makes sense to me. And lastly, the PowerMagic Pro. We got a dip switch, we got toggle switches, and we got a plug. I kind of want to mount it right here. Kind of want to mount it back over here. Kind of want to mount it right over here against this wall. I may even choose to mount it over here, like that. I haven't decided yet on where I want to go with this guy. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tear this apart. Now why? This is the same one that I installed under the dash during that electrical upgrade video. Now this has all these LEDs. Now reading reviews, a lot of people say that it leaks 12 volt or 10 volts across into the positive to the circuit. And it's probably about, I don't know, maybe 500 milliamps, just whatever it requires to run the LED. So the problem with that is you still have voltage through a line that you would assume that's dead because your fuse popped. So what I'm going to do, I saw some articles online, if you tear this open on the back, you can take out the entire controller board that pulls all the LEDs out, and then it functions as a normal fuse panel. Again, I like this. I like that it has a negative. It's going to work good for this project. I like that it has also negative grounds right here for each one of these. I like that a lot. I just don't like the LED portion of it. They're also not that expensive, so a little bit of surgery on this, not that bad. So the electrical board is underneath. I can pull the positive bar out that connects to everything else. Or I can come through and snip all these wires flush down to the board. I think I'm just going to snip the wires. And voila, that has been removed, disconnected. And now, when a fuse blows, we may not have an indicator light, which I really don't care about, because if your circuit's not working, you're going to check the fuse anyways, whether or not that indicator light is on or not. So, now, just going to pull the fuse. It's the only way that you're going to get any voltage or amperage across that circuit. Alright, well that's been done. Let's move on to the next part of the project. So, I took the plate off of the 3-pack device that I bought. I'm going to use it as a template. All I really want to do is cut the openings here and then drill for some screws. And I don't think you can see that, but there is a circle there. Alright, time to set up and start doing some cutting. So it's time to install the plates. I swapped those, that doesn't matter. So what I'll do is feed this through. So because those rings are holding this plate on, I don't really need, well, first off, I don't really need the plate, but I kind of like it. I will debate on whether or not I want to put some screws into this. Yeah. Alright, so when I pulled the wiring harness off of this that came with it, one of the spade connectors broke off. Thankfully, I happen to have spares. But first, let's go ahead and continue installing these plates. I know those aren't level, but that's by design because the fuse block is going to end up right here. And I wanted some clearance above it. Although, installed right there, I don't think that the cover will come on and off easily. end up moving it this way a little bit. And I will be using that that same double-sided sticky tape I used for the other one. So I've mounted the Powermetric Pro on the outside. I don't think I'll actually need access to the switch, but I figured that this is where I wanted it. We got the cabling management run into place. We got the 12 volts independently wired in. We don't have any fuses yet. These were run with 14 gauge. My goal was to provide a thick enough cable in the event that I need to pull a lot of power through, such as a fridge. This switch controls just these two. I used the original wiring harness and fixed the end connector that I broke off. The original wiring had a twist lock fuse, inline fuse. Didn't like that, so it goes into here. Next, I am going to make a cable go from the negative stud to the charge controller, because it's the closest stud to the battery, and then we'll do the same with the positive side. Then we'll wire in the battery plus. This is the accessory line that'll actually tell the system. No, actually, that's the accessory wire. I need to move that over there and put that right there. Good thing I caught that, huh? So this line will get connected into the to the accessory switch line that I set up in the begin with. That will actually turn this from on and off in park mode. This actually will cut the dash cam in the event that the secondary battery gets too low. But since it's 100 amp hour, I don't expect to get it too low too quickly. Alright, so let me make my cabling, swap that out, and then we will continue on. Alright, so we got this installed. We can see here that our fuse panel right here, if I can focus it, there we go. So we got our fuse panel here. We've connected the positive negative back over to the DC charger. We could have connected it directly to the battery itself, but DC charger was closer and they had pretty large studs to begin with. Every one of these circuits is on its own fuse. I ran 14 gauge wire, so this one and this one are on 15 amp. This whole pack is on a 15 amp. Now, as you saw, I was running the 12 volt extension cable right here, straight from the battery. The downside is there's no fuse in line. So what I did was I added it into the pack. It's currently sitting on a 10 amp fuse. Don't worry about this wire. That's for the dash cam. So I guess it's time to see if it'll turn on. The easiest way to do that is come down over here. Remember that was a voltmeter? All right, let's see what happens. Oh, came on. I'm not sure if you can read that, but we're currently at 13.4 volts. So that's telling me that we are indeed wired up. Now if we were to start that truck, I bet you that might jump. Hopefully you can see that. Let's start it up, see what happens. Yep, we jumped up to 14 volts. Well, more than 14 volt, but I can't see the whole panel. Oh, I could just do this. Yeah. See all the music before I get copyrighted. Yep, 14.5 volts. Now I can test each one of these if I wanted to. I'm gonna go ahead and trust it. So I think it's time to call this part of the project finished. Okay, to recap. So what did we do? We added a fuse block. We added in our additional accessories for future expansion and future utilization. Tied it into the fuse block. We got the wiring done for the park mode for the dash cam, which will be the next project. I don't know if I'm going to keep this cabling and this plug the way it is, or if I'm going to do some surgery on the wiring that comes back to the back to here. Haven't decided yet. This is supposed to go underneath the dash, but you know, we run into the problem that we don't have any fuse panels to tie into under the dash, but I'll have to figure that out soon because that's the next project. Thanks so much for your time. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. Have a great day.